Fletcher Cox, the defensive tackle from Mississippi State. Now I heard an interesting little nugget from their first rookie minicamp about him. Would you please elaborate, Mr. Scott?
About him getting welcomed.
Welcome to the NFL.
Coaching staff, not only by one coach, but pretty much the coaches were getting after him. And I think that's good. He got cursed out. The sooner the better. The sooner the better. Because
ain't in Mississippi no more.
No. And the best thing for these college players is to get acclimated to the NFL style. You're not gonna get spoon fed. You have a very, very limited window to be successful before they decide to trade you. So, in my eyes, I always appreciated coaches like that because at least they're serious. They're passionate about what they do. When a coach is quiet, I almost look like, do you love your job?
Right.
I'm sure you can see things that could be worked on.
Right.
So I like that. I like them getting after him. And even in his interview, he was like, it didn't bother me. He said, I just shut my mouth and I kept moving.
There you go.
That's a very good sign.
That's a great sign.
That's a very good sign.
That's a sign of maturity. That's great.
The pick, however, I feel like the Eagles needed linebacker help.
Oh, yeah.
Their linebacker core is horrific.
But I think their linebacker came off the board already.
Yes, I think when Kuechly came off the board, they really didn't get the guy they wanted.
What's his name from the Texans?
They got D'Amico Ryans.
They got D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah, they did get D'Amico Ryans. They got D'Amico Ryans. That helps. But I still think they still need more linebacker help. Like I can't name another one.
Their linebackers got shredded.
Like last year, they couldn't stop a nose.
Yeah, there really wasn't another linebacker other than Hightower. Maybe later on but he wouldn't have warranted a pick that high.
No.
That's why I didn't see why they would move up for Fletcher Cox. I didn't think that they had the need to move up.
I think they just went for the talent. Yeah. They liked him as a player, and they said, "Screw what position he plays. We like him. Go get him."
Yeah.
Number 13, the Cardinals went with Michael Floyd, the wide receiver from Notre Dame, which is what Larry Fitzgerald wanted.
Oh yeah,
sets up a serious set of wide receivers for people to have to deal with over there in Arizona.
Is Kevin Cobb good enough?
All he has to do is throw it up with those boys. That's all he got to do. If he can't complete anything with those boys, man, I don't know how to help him.
Michael Floyd came into a better situation, learning from the great Larry Fitz. One of the best receivers of our generation.
Yeah, that's going to be tough to defend.
That is going to be extremely tough.
Don't they still have Breston too? Steve Breston?
Yes, sir.
Yep,
over there. They still have Steve Breston. That's a very good receiver core. Now, the only thing I can ask is, where's the defense?
Yeah.
They're going to try to have shootouts and just outscore you.
Exactly, and outscore whoever they're playing.
Taking the Patriot route,
Right. Being 31st in defense and playing in the Super Bowl.
There you go.
So here we go. The Rams finally get to pick. They went from number 2.
Yeah.
They went back to number 6. Then they went back to number 14. And they decided to pick Michael Brockers, the defensive tackle from LSU.
Nice pick. I think he's a very, very good interior defensive lineman. You've shown that at LSU. He was the main interior guy who stopped everything. Like, that defense was no joke.
Yeah. Yeah. And they got Laurinaitis already. They got Chris Long.
Chris Long. Yeah.
So yeah, they're putting together the right pieces. Now I don't know who they have at cornerback.
Yeah. But after Gilmore, I didn't think that the next who was the next cornerback? Jenkins?
Yeah, the next guy that went was Kirkpatrick.
Oh, Kirkpatrick was the next one. See, I didn't think I don't know. I think that the interior line could help because they did have struggles stopping the run. I felt like that team nobody was scared against that interior lineman at all.
This is to stop the run, specifically to stop the run.
But the best offseason acquisition for them is Jeff Fisher. He's gonna do wonders for that defense.
No doubt.
Yep. Just ask Colin Cowherd.
And I think it's actually a good thing that Greg Williams isn't there.
Yeah.
And I appreciate Greg Williams for his exotic blitzes, but I don't think that would have fit with their players.
Nah.
Well,
they don't have enough. They don't have enough speed on that defense.
No, not at all.
To do what the Saints did.
I agree totally. Well, we're going to move on to number 15. The Seahawks will move back from number 12. They decided to take the first big surprise. It drew a gasp from the crowd over at MSG. Bruce Irvin, the defensive end from West Virginia, who was projected to be a 3rd or 4th round pick.
I don't know what to say about what the Seahawks did. I don't see why he was picked in the first round. There were plenty of better players on the board. Pete Carroll, shout out to Pete Carroll, but that I don't know what to say. Speechless.
Well, the only way I can understand it is Pete Carroll is scheme specific, and for his scheme, Bruce Irvin fits because he's gonna isolate him. He's gonna only have him focusing on rushing the pass. He's not gonna worry about him in coverage. He's gonna specifically have one job. So when you look at it from that standpoint, it makes a little bit of sense. But I agree with you. It was a lot better players on the board. But I think Pete Carroll was just specifically looking at what he was trying to do, and Bruce Irvin fit.
I felt like that he might have overthink.
Okay.
You know, he was overthinking when he made this pick.
Okay.
I thought the Seahawks defense was actually pretty good last year. They had room to grow. You know, I think they'll be a lot better this year.
Well, I think they're paying for missing out on Curry in 2009. He was a number 4 pick in the draft,
and
he's now with the Raiders.
I feel like they gave up on him too quick though.
If they had Curry still, and Curry had been playing up to their standards, the standards they felt that he wasn't living up to, they wouldn't have done this. They would have probably gone in another direction. But I think they're doing this because Curry did not live up to that.
Making up for past mistakes.
Right. So that's where I think that emanates from. And number 16,
Jets.
New York Jets. Take Quentin Coples, defensive end, UNC. Somebody else say something about this because I'm holding off on that.
I am a Jets fan, just to let y'all know. I know you probably didn't know, but I'm a Jets fan. I am very excited about this pick, mainly because he is a top 10 talent. All right, he did have troubles at University of North Carolina, but that entire program had problems. This kid is huge. This kid is strong. With a defensive player like that, Rex Ryan can do a lot with him. And I think that he fits the scheme, the 3-4 scheme. He can play the 3 technique, and he'll do his thing.
I think it's a great pick. You know, people have been hating on it, but short and sweet, he's gonna be a terror. He's gonna be a menace because though they compare him to past picks from the Jets, Vernon Golston from Detroit, damn you. He's way more versatile than Vernon Golston.
Oh yeah.
He's a lot faster, and his technique is better than Vernon Golston.
And he isn't a one season wonder. Vernon Golston had only one season. Quentin Coples has done this for a while,
and he's faced a lot more adversity,
especially in the SEC.
Yeah. Vernon Golston was at Ohio State, wasn't he?
Well, he's ACC.
No, I'm sorry, ACC. I'm sorry,
actually,
ACC.
Yeah, University of North Carolina.
Yeah. He went to Ohio State. Vernon Golston.
Yeah, that program hides a lot of deficiencies for players because they get a collection of great players, and you're not asked to do as much. When you're with other great players, it makes it easier.
A la Maurice Claret.
Oh yeah.
I mean, a lot of people from Ohio State. You know, that's one. I'm a Michigan fan, so they're my biggest rival. Their program is they do it well, but they set a lot of their players up for failure when they get to the NFL.
Right. Well, at number 17, the Bengals. They get this pick from the Raiders. They moved up and they picked the cornerback from Alabama, Dre Kirkpatrick.
Good, solid pick. A team that needed secondary help. Leon Hall can't do it all by himself. I think it was a solid pick.
Yeah, once they lost Jonathan Joseph, they had to replace that. Kirkpatrick is safe. He's got solid technique.
Yeah, that was a horrible move, letting Jonathan Joseph.
Well, I don't think they could afford him because if they didn't give up Joseph, they would have to give up Hall, or they would have to give up somebody else, and I don't think they wanted. I think they chose Hall over.
They just picked one over the other. Yeah. Okay. Well, I had no problem with the pick myself. I thought, I don't know if they had to move up necessarily to get him, but that's
well, they went after the guy they wanted. I respect that. I think this Bengals team has a chance to actually win the AFC North.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough slate, but they can do it.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Because they've been better the past couple seasons than people have thought.
It all depends. It all depends on Andy Dalton, man. Okay. Andy Dalton has to step up from the year before.
He'll be solid.
Okay. The Chargers at number 18 went ahead and picked up the defensive end from South Carolina, Melvin Ingram.
Nice pick. I like the pick mainly because Sean Phillips is getting up there in age.
It's good value.
Very good value
Yeah,
at
give him
18. I'm not the biggest fan of Melvin Ingram, but I like what he brings to the table. He's a pass rush. You know, he'll get to the quarterback.
Right.
What's the guy that they drafted the other season to replace Sean Merriman, the other linebacker?
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of with Melvin Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is in San Diego. They don't have the greatest luck with drafting linebackers. And it's not necessarily the linebacker, but they don't get guys that fit into their scheme all the time.
Was it Larry English?
English, that's his name.
Larry English.
Larry English, that's his name.
That's the way.
So Melvin Ingram, I'm kind of on the fence. I'm kind of with a wait-and-see approach because he looks good on paper.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm more concerned with how does he fit on that defense.
Somebody brought up an interesting fact about Melvin Ingram, which a couple of interesting things, which was, first of all, he has 29-inch arms. There are only 2 players in the last decade that have flourished in the NFL with 29-inch arms. They're James Harrison and Robert Mathis. Other than that, if you have arms under 31, 32, 33 inches, you're really not going to be much of a factor pass rush wise. The other problem I had with with Melvin Ingram was he was basically he had his hand in the dirt in college, and a lot of his sacks. If you look at you can just go on YouTube and check out most of his highlights. The vast majority of his sacks came from the inside in a 4-3. I have no idea what he's going to be like in a 3-4 at outside linebacker.
That's my point.
And I saw him, they put him at linebacker in the Senior Bowl, and he basically was invisible. He was nowhere to be found the whole game.
Yeah.
So that was the thing that I think a lot of 3-4 teams kind of backed off on him and said, you know what, we're going to pass on him, especially the Jets, who everybody projected him going to.
It's going to be tough for him because it's going to be hard to get around these big tackles, you know, with such short arm length, you know.
And he's not a speed rusher. It's not. He doesn't do it with speed. He does it with strength. And
so yeah, it's going to be hard to get that push off, you know, get around the guys, you know, if you don't have that speed,
right?
You know, it's going to be tough for him.
And he's not a linebacker. He's a defensive end.
He's going to have to be extremely aggressive. The guy that you mentioned, James Harrison, Robert Mathis, extremely aggressive. That's going to be the only thing that's going to save
violent hands. Yeah, that's what I hear about those guys.
Absolutely.
All right, number 19, the Bears stayed where they were, and they took the defensive end from Boise State, Shea McClellan. He was a high riser in the last few weeks. Mike Mayock went berserk and made him his number 2 linebacker in the last 2 weeks before the draft. And any thoughts about McClellan?
Nice little pick. I feel like
not a bad pick.
They got what they needed. I think they need the linebacker help. They're aging in that position. Yeah. Lance Briggs, Brian Urlacher, both getting very old.
And Chicago seems to do well with linebackers. They obviously know something that we don't.
They have a good atmosphere in their organization. They know how to handle defensive players. So I think he'll have no problem becoming a solid NFL player.
Yeah, and he looks a lot like Urlacher. So. And number 20, the Titans, they went ahead and got the wide receiver from Baylor, Kendall Wright, who ran about a 4.65 at the combine and dropped a whole lot. But they went ahead and got the wide receiver. Any thoughts?
Interesting pick. I felt like they reached. Yeah. I didn't like them picking the receiver. I think they had bigger needs.
Defensive.
Basically.
And I mean, yeah, I know they're trying to cover up for Kenny Britt because he's been injured.
I think that's the main reason why this pick was made, because Kenny Britt's a knucklehead.
But they have the other guy. They have Nate Washington there.
But they don't expect much out of him. They expect
well, I mean, he had a solid season last year.
Right, but they want him to be more like a third receiver, I think.
Right. And I don't think he's a first receiver.
I don't think Kendall Wright is a 1 or 2.
No, he's not. And Kendall Wright, he was talking the other day in an interview, and he said they didn't even really have a playbook at Baylor. He was like, you know, we ran and we went over plays in practice, but as far as the playbook, he's like, we didn't have a playbook at Baylor. which gives more credit to RG3.
Right. Their playbook was RG3 to play and get open.
And I would just start thinking like, well, if you didn't have a playbook in college and you have to absorb all this in the NFL, it might be a season or two before we really even see any production on him.
Yeah.
Unless his physical tools are just that great.
Like I said, the Titan success is going to be all about Chris Johnson anyway. So depending on what Chris Johnson does, we'll find out about.
He'll get back on the horse. He'll get back on the horse.
All right.